Commissioners meeting, January 30th, 2017.
Good morning. It is 9 a.m. on Tuesday, January 30th, 2018. This is the regular weekly meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. All three commissioners are here. This is County Administrator Keith Johnson. So at this time I'll call the meeting to order and ask you if you'd like to please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First item on the regular agenda this morning is a public hearing, Title Amendment 1 of the Franklin County Transportation Improvement Plan for 2018 to 2023. And Matt, if you and your team would care to come up and lead us through this, I would appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll just note that over the years we've used a variety of approaches to these, none of them wrong, but a variety of them. So for this year, I'd appreciate it if you start with you sort of giving us just a summary. We don't have a tremendous amount of detail, so we have to read ahead. Then we check if the board has any quick comments. We'll go right into the public hearing, go back to the board for comments, and then any actions taken. That's the pattern I'd like to follow. I'll walk you through.
Right, and yeah, if I fall short of that, let me know. All right, yeah. On June 28th of 2017, the Board of County Commissioners did approve Franklin County's Transportation Improvement Plan for 2018 through 2023. That was via Resolution 2017-179. Due to a recent call for projects and the subsequent award of the funding to Franklin County, this was under the federal fiscal year 2017 Railway Highway Crossing Selections Federal Funding Program. We are requesting the board's consideration for the addition of a project identified as Haley Road Railroad Crossing Improvement to the current 6-year Transportation Improvement Plan. And we are requesting the board's consideration for the addition of a project identified as CRP 615 Smith Canyon Bridge, number 722-0.07 replacement. This project was originally identified on the 2017 to 2022 6-year Transportation Improvement Program, and it was anticipated to be completed in that same year, in 2017. Therefore, it was not included on this current 6-year Transportation Improvement Plan. As the board is aware of us adding it, the project was not completed by the county forces in 2017, and that was due to the county's response to the countywide emergency that resulted from the winter storms and the spring runoff.
Perfect. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board before we move to a public hearing? Okay, hearing none at this time, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on the on Amendment 1 to the county's Transportation Improvement Plan for 2018 to 2023. Anybody wishing to comment, now would be the time to do so. Second call, anybody wishing to comment? Not seeing anybody. Third and final call. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the hearing. We'll move on to board comments. Commissioner Cook, anything?
Yeah, Matt, is this what's actually going to be done with this 110? Is this going to be a solar panel stop signal system, or?
That's correct. The cross bucks, or what we call the cross bucks, anybody's not familiar, that's the signs, black on yellow signs with the railroad symbol on them. Those will all be upgraded, as well as the yield signs that are currently up will be taken down. We'll have a high intensity stop signs with the actual red flashing lights on them, so it'll turn into a complete stop condition.
Well, that's good, because originally that was designed to be shut down, period, so
Yes.
which would have been a detriment to the landowners that use that road.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have nothing to say. It seems to be kind of self-explanatory. It's safety, so it works for the program.
So, Matt, if they were to do the crossbars, the dropping bars, I'm assuming that's a lot more expensive. Do you have a ballpark idea how much more? I'm not suggesting you should. I'm just getting data for the future.
The information that we received in working with the Transportation Commission, Utility Transportation Commission, and BNSF Railroad was that that was going to be upwards of 300,000 range,
About 3 times.
about 3 times the cost.
Okay. And I understand that this particular one was selected not by us, but by the feds who are providing the money. Is that right?
That's fairly close.
Well, getting closer.
Well, based on the commodities and the increase in certain commodities that will be coming through Washington State via the railroad, our current governor had directed the Transportation Commission to do a survey of all at-grade crossings in the state, and this was the only crossing that was identified in Franklin County as needing some attention.
Well, who made the final selection? There was obviously more than one identified.
This is federal
It is
funding.
federal money.
Yes.
So who made the choice?
The choice was made by FHWA.
So the federal government selected this one?
Yes.
Okay. From a list that the governor provided?
Correct.
And this was the only one in our county?
Correct.
The reason I'm going through that is because there's a number of at-grade crossings, and with the increase in commodity traffic and rail use through our county, there's sort of an ongoing discussion about making improvements to these, and the inevitable question will be, why did you do that one?
Yes.
And I think it's important for us to understand the answer and be able to say, because the feds provided the money and they chose it.
Yes.
Just trying to keep everybody on the same page, because, like I said, there have been requests to do other at-grade crossings.
Yes, that's
If we chose that, then we should be prepared to own up to that too.
Yes.
And let's see, continue with my questions. The cost on the other item in Smith Canyon was as small as it is, I understand, because even though it's called a bridge, it's not really a bridge, it's a culvert.
Yeah, it's what they call small structure right now. It's what they call a box culvert, and we'll be removing that structure and putting in a large culvert that will certainly handle the flows through there, the calculated flows. So
Is it referred to in the literature as a bridge, in fact?
yes, it is. By the federal definition, it is a bridge, but it's less than 20 feet in length, so they consider it to be a box culvert. So
Yeah, I'm just adding to the learning for everybody,
Yes.
because when we see a request for a change to the transportation improvement plan that says a bridge and it's, $5,000, it's kind of like, really?
yes.
A culvert, under the right circumstances, can be called a bridge by the feds.
Yeah, it can be very confusing. And let's just, I will go a step further
It's
and
not
just
even
say
confusing, I just need to be educated.
that designation, once the structure is removed and the culvert is put in, this will no longer be considered a bridge.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, great, I appreciate that. Any other questions from the board? Okay, so we've completed the public hearing, we've had a presentation, we've answered all the questions. It'd be appropriate to entertain a motion if anyone cares to make one at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of resolution number 2018-026, Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 1.
And I will second the motion.
Motion and second for approval of the resolution 2018-026 as presented. Last call for comments or questions. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Matt, Craig, thank you very much
Right,
for
thank you.
your presentation and for the education. You learn something new every time you come in here.
Thank you.
We're almost always good.
That'll make that happen.
Yeah,
Great, thank you.
thank you. Okay, next item on this morning's agenda is an interbudget transfer request for $26,440.42 from the current expense non-department budget to the current expense facilities budget. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. You got to read ahead, appreciate that. Looks like it's a combination of things that ran over. I've had an opportunity to talk with Keith, he's answered most of my questions, so if it's okay with you, I'll just go ahead and see if the board has any questions for you, and if not, we'll move on.
Sounds good, thank you.
Any questions, commissioners?
No, it's pretty self-explanatory, the way the ASR came out.
Yes, it is.
Caught in a perfect storm.
But if equipment does break, it does need replacement, does need repair. I got that piece. I looked at the utility piece, which previously you had mentioned utility costs as being an increasing concern. And I looked at the rates and the utility bills. It didn't seem like they had changed much, but Keith tells me that you are doing at least a basic audit of our facilities.
Correct.
And how much we're using, just in case we've got some kind of a mechanical issue or problem or something where we're using more than we need to. I think that's a good thing to do, so I appreciate it.
So do you feel that this machine, this HVAC is going to continue to run? We don't have no problem with this for a while until it breaks down again? What do you think?
It was a combination of different things, outstanding budget issues in the annex, the corrections, and the 502 building. It wasn't just utilities.
Okay.
And so that caused the shortfall. I feel like the corrections is probably going to continue to have HVAC issues, yes. And we're going to try and stay on top of that. So.
Corrections, the new building?
No, the old building.
The old building.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, if there's no other questions, it'd be appropriate to move for approval at this time.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of a proposed resolution authorizing a budget transfer of $26,440.42 from the 2017 current expense non-department budget, and the numbers there, which are copy and reserve fund balance to current expense facilities, as detailed in the proposed resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of Resolution 2018-27 with the title as just described in the motion. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. 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 Approved. Jennifer, thank you. Appreciate you checking on those utilities just so that we can, I don't think anyone has done that since we got the new jail built. It'll be
No.
interesting to see how much that's increased our utility costs.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, next item, interbudget transfer of $3,500 from the 2017 current expense contingency budget to the current expense coordinate budget. I see that Mr. Blaisdell is here this morning. And Dan, do you want to introduce this, or do you just want me to move right into questions with the board?
You can move right into questions, that's fine.
Okay, any questions from the board or Keith on this request?
Not necessarily a question, just a comment. Mr. Blaisdell, his staff and I discussed their budget for 2017. They did have some additional expenses that there were some timing problems with the building 2016 that should have been charged in 2016, but were paid in 2017.
That was the majority of the 3,500, right?
Well, it was about no, not a majority of it. It was about
That's what
11.
you said,
Yeah.
about 2,400.
The 2016 bill that was paid in 2017 was $1,181. The piece that I'm not quite sure on is the
Morgue costs?
the morgue costs and the bio-cleaning invoice. How much exactly those were, but it was those three items that made up the need for the $3,500 transfer.
So we pay fees for using the morgue twice a year in July and December. And the morgue cost for the second half of the year is about $1,500. And then the remainder is for the cleaning of the morgue.
So in reading your package, I thought what I was reading was that we get billed for the morgue services on a biennial basis every other year, the way Benton County, who owns the morgue, the way they budget. They run a 2-year budget cycle where we run one. But you're actually saying that it's 2 billings a year, not one every 2 years.
That's correct.
Okay, so, and you had funding for your morgue costs in your budget, right?
Yes.
Do you recall just offhand how much that was?
Well, it all comes out of autopsy, the autopsy money.
Okay, that's interesting, I didn't know that. Okay. So, your morgue cost for the second half was $1,500, and I'm sorry, you said for the first bill of the year it was how much?
First bill, I don't know, I didn't look that up.
Okay.
Just a question, throwing it off right now. How many autopsies do you do a year? Do you remember that number?
Well, you know, the second half, I believe we did 12.
Second half? of the
Yes.
year?
Let's see, so if the morgue costs were 15 and the 2016 bill was 1181, that's 2681. So the bio cleaning was roughly 900. And so you overran your autopsy budget.
Yes.
You might recall that in November, I believe, October, we transferred some money out of the autopsy line. It was originally budgeted at $32,000, but we had reduced that to $27,000.
And at the time, I think we said, we'll take it here first, and if you run short, then we'll backfund it. So everything is on. I was interested particularly in this, how much this 2016 bill was, because if somebody gives us a 2016 bill in, say, June and July, there's really nothing the coroner can do about it. You know, the books for 16 have already been closed. You don't go back and open those. You pay it out the next year. And so that's about a third of it, and more than a third is autopsy costs, which we said we would backfill. So really, the only thing here that was unanticipated is about the 900, and I'm suspecting that Dan's going to tell me that that's part of the autopsy budget too.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
Nothing?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion for approval?
Sure. Can I see your resolutions? Sure. I move to approve the transfer of $3,500 from the 2007 current expense contingency budget number, which we report to the 2017 current expense coroner's budget.
Second.
Motion and second for approval of the resolution for the interbudget transfer 3,500 is described in the motion. Any other comments or questions?
Well, autopsies are the things we have to pay. Hard to address.
I wish we didn't have to do them.
Commissioner Cook, any other comments or questions?
Nothing today, thanks.
Okay. Keith, I'd be interested, after we approve this today, as I'm sure we will, for us to find some time to go over the history on these numbers and make sure that we're budgeting an appropriate number for autopsies. It seems like some years we're adding to it, some years like last fall we're moving money out of it. I realize that it's not something you can predict, but I'm willing to bet that there's some sort of trend that correlates with population size. So, okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. Just need one more signature on there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're a little ahead of schedule today. Commissioner Cook doesn't have any questions as usual, I guess.
Yeah.
But we are at that time in the agenda for public comment. If there's anyone from the public, or for that matter, from county staff that wants to comment, you're certainly welcome to do so now. Okay, not seeing anyone expressing any interest to do so, we'll move on to office business. Do we have payroll rosters or warrants today?
We have one of each. The first is Fund expenditures is 16 miscellaneous different crime victims, witness, county road, solid waste, ending homelessness, etc. Bottom line of those 16 items is $360,031.57. And Keith has looked them over and signed off, and so has Jeff Burkhart and Macy Stein.
I will second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for fund expenditures in the amount of $360,031.57. Hearing no other comments or questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Second and final today is county roads and motor vehicle payroll. Bottom line of those two items is $158,777.03.
If I can get some signatures. Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of the county road and motor vehicle payroll in the amount cited, $158,777.03. Hearing any comments or questions, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those are approved as well. Consent agenda, we have 8 items.
Chairman, I move for approval of consent agenda as posted with 8 items.
Here, we left it. I will second the motion.
There's a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda as presented. Any comments or questions?
No, I haven't.
I'm not hearing any. I have a couple of quick ones. I wanted to thank the HR department. Oh, she is here. I don't have my glasses on, but I can recognize you from here. Carly, it's a nice job of pulling all that together for the public's awareness. We had some benefits for employees in terms of their access to their benefits programs online, and that was going away. And Carly and her team found a way to get it back online in equal or better fashion from another supplier without increasing costs in the county, and that was a win for all the employees. So I appreciate you doing that. On the contracts with the private investigators, just a note to Mr. Ziegler and OPD, who just in the last 10 days alone has gotten us a new attorney and has backfilled a critical position that went unexpectedly vacant and now has re-upped these investigations. And sometimes we forget how critical that function is, and it's statutorily mandated, and they continue to do that on a pretty meager budget. So I just want to thank him for that. And
Mr. Chairman, it's interesting on number 4 how the state of Washington and their wisdom and overspend their budget and decide to find money somewhere.
well, I was saving the best for last, but thank you for handling that for me. It was almost exactly what I was going to say. The question I was going to have for the sheriff was state 911. We collect the emergency 911 tax. It goes to the state, and we've committed all those funds to them. And as Commissioner Cook pointed out, they've overrun a portion of their budget. So as their contract allows, thanks to Keith, he did the research, they just reached back and took 50% of the training funds, which affects Captain Rochlow in your department. As I understand, he's the one that would have used those training funds?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have other funds for him to do that training? Are we just going to do half as much training? Do we know yet?
There's no plans to do any training in the dispatch center this year because of the consolidation.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know if it was for the dispatchers or for Captain Rochlow or maybe for both, but it sounds like the impact is minimal. So,
I did speak to Captain Rochlow about this yesterday, and he indicated that some of the meetings that he would have otherwise attended are now being done telephonically and absorb this through
Depending on how it works out.
my budget, the sheriff's office budget side, we need to send Rick to the state. So all those things figure out how to absorb it in the sheriff's budget.
So I know that no one could hear you on the recording, so I'm just going to repeat back for the record what you said, which is there's state 911 meetings that Rick can go to, and you can cover that out of your budget.
Before to go to it, yes, we'll figure out something if there's a need for him to go represent the county. That's that 911 person.
Right, okay. Thanks very much. Any other comments, questions on the consent agenda?
Nothing from
All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Consent agenda items are approved as presented. And looks like we're still a little ahead of the time curve, so we'll go ahead and sign these now. Aaron, I think you outdid yourself on this one. Is that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signatures on the back? What's the title of that one? Real estate. Real estate acquisition. Real estate finishing up our signatures. Looks like we're ready. Okay, move on to administration office business. And Mr. Johnson, looks like you've got a couple items at least here today.
Yes, thank you. The first item came at the request of Commissioner Peck related to state law that was enacted last legislative session that required counties to provide more ballot drop boxes to the public. I have spoken with our county auditor, Matt Beaton, who's here with us, and Ashley Hyan, who's our elections administrator, give a little more information on kind of the impact to Franklin County. You probably are aware that WASAC is questioning whether this is an unfunded mandate and whether we need to pursue some kind of legislative remedy for the fact that they made this requirement upon county elections officials but provided no additional funding to support the additional ballot boxes that would be necessary. Mr. Beaton's made himself available to answer questions. Information I've gotten so far is that there will be some additional costs to the county to provide the ballot box. I think the current plan is to work through the city of Mesa and Colotis that kind of adopt a plan that was formalized in Yakima to use the city hall offices to provide those ballot locations. And we would have to install those ballot boxes because we had an agreement with those city offices to provide those. We're not talking a huge amount of money, but it is an unfunded mandate in the sense that it would require us to spend county resources to provide those.
So for the board's further understanding, this came up at WASAC meetings a couple of weeks ago, and there are some counties that have submitted claims for reimbursement to the state. We have copies of those claims that would serve as a good template for us. And the idea is not so much to recover the funds, although we'd very much like to do that. It is to, in part, make a point with the state that this is an unfunded mandate, and at some point this needs to stop. Awareness, that's right. And that if we can get enough counties to come forward with claims, it helps further the cause of getting legislation to produce these kinds of unfunded mandates. So really the question that I had for the board is, would we like to join some of those other counties in simply sending a claim to the state for reimbursement once we know what those costs are?
Well, I would think so, and then I don't know if you've done a little bit of research, Matt, about, like Clovis, for instance. I can't imagine their city hall's open every day, business hours.
Right. I mean, we're working on that. You can see, I think and we've been working on this, but, and that's why I went with the Yakima model where they work with the city halls, but that's the challenge. And based on the kind of turnout we have, it's just one of these circumstances where it's a one-size-fits-all out of Olympia. I mean, in some of these elections,
you got a 16 voter turnout.
Yeah. I mean, we've got the actual numbers, but I mean, it's, it can be that low. It can get down to 41. We have basically 110 registered voters in the city of Mesa, and
94 in Clovis. And, you know, I mean, this to me, I had obviously the association, the Audit Association had heartburn with the whole thing because one of the stipulations is to put these drop boxes where we have post offices. Well, we're a vote by mail state. I mean, we have, that's, you know, it's cheaper to put a stamp on it, obviously, than to go out and pick up, you know, sometimes it's few as 41. That's if they choose to use it. So we're trying to find a way to, and Yakima did, you know, quite a bit of research on it and found a decent model. It looks like we can keep the cost down real low, but it really is an argument about stupid legislation, really. It's just a one-size-fits-all. And I see where Snohomish has actually filed a lawsuit. And I think that's what this whole thing stemmed out of. If you look back, it was a legislator from Snohomish that did it. So.
Well, I can imagine some of those Snohomish, Kane, Pierce, you know, with numerous small cities out there, it is quite an impact.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think theirs was in the hundreds of thousands. Well, it's just the cost to pick up and all that. It's the ongoing cost, too, to drive out. It's just foolishness is what it is. So there is a piece of legislation where they may have an exemption. I mean, we're working on it. We're trying to secure the spots, the boxes, that kind of stuff. That with any luck, they'll provide some kind of a.
So where are we at today in this? I mean, is it a mandate today?
Yes.
Okay.
And what's mandate? What is it? How much? And how many? Is it?
Well, yeah, he's got it there with the 1,700. I've got it here somewhere.
I show, almost $1,500 to implement those boxes
That's an estimate.
in Colotus, yeah.
That's not for us. What's the mandate? What's the rural? So what are we supposed to one for every?
Well, we've done the evaluation, and that would be the impact on Franklin County would be this. So
doesn't matter what. You know, anyone in Clovis, you said?
We would need to, yes.
I would think so because it's a disadvantage for certain people that day they come make a decision that they can't get in the mail before 3 o'clock, whether it's a priority for the person's schedule, whatever. You know, we get a lot of them. We've all been on the campus and we get a lot of them that are late. So I think that would help out down there. So you got one down there, you got one in Mesa.
Well, we don't have any yet.
You will.
That would be if it stood the way it did.
It's going to cost about $1,500.
That's kind of your upfront cost. So there will be upfront additional costs for driving out to collect ballots and those kinds of things.
So I'll just remind the board that the topic was certainly the drop boxes, but it was whether or not we want to, once we've actually incurred costs, because we can't make a claim for costs we haven't incurred, but once we've incurred costs, do we want to submit a claim to the state for those fixed costs as well as the recurring costs of emptying the boxes? It's not really a decision we have to make now because frankly we don't even know the cost. I just want to tee up the issue. The purpose is not so much the money, it's making a collective point with the other 39 counties to the legislature that unfunded mandates really do have an impact. And since the Constitution says we are agents of the state, and we carry out their functions, not our own functions, they ought to pay for them. So if it's okay with the board, then we'll forego any kind of decision today, because I think it's premature, but like I said, I want to tee up the issue for keep it on once we know what the costs actually are. Okay, moving on, next item, I understand we need an executive session for contract negotiations.
Yes, sir, I would request a executive session up to 15 minutes under RCW 42.30.140, paragraph 4, contract negotiations. We revise that at estimated 20 minutes with the provision when they come out early. We ask that Carly and Jen be allowed to stay for that.
Okay, so it's 9:39. We'll go into executive session at this time for up to 20 minutes. Was it, Keith?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now you can go to turn them off. We just need to have that note in the record. Thanks. All right. It is 10 o'clock. We just concluded our executive session. The door has been reopened. I'm going to pause for a moment in case anyone else wants to come in, but we're going to be going right into another executive session. Note for the record, this one was not on the agenda. Was it required to be? It was the last minute ad that we became aware of the need for this late yesterday. So at this time, we'll go into executive session under RCW 4230-110-1B, which is for real estate acquisition and/or site selection. Anticipate that we'll need up to 20 minutes for this, and if we're able to conclude our business early, we will come out early. Anybody else that we need for this, Keith? I don't think Carly, it doesn't fit in Carly's bucket. Well, actually, it might. Do you have time to?
Yeah, I can say.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Close the door, please, and we'll go into executive session.
Now, here 20?
Yes. Okay, it is 10:22. We just completed our executive session as advertised. It took the full 20 minutes, but we were able to complete our work, which I believe completes the administrative office business portion of the agenda, unless Keith, is there anything else?
No.
Okay, so that brings us to public comment. There's no one in the audience other than staff, so there's no need for public comment. Commissioners, any notes, comments, anything for record schedules?
I'm heading out tomorrow morning for crab board in Olympia.
We've got a few meetings this afternoon. One of them will be Metro, and Metro, there's some specific deciding things that's going to probably be cleared up there, and we'll bring back next week. Sean sent me to talk to any of you yet about this situation with Metro. Okay, so he will in the next week, I'm sure.
Okay, I've got to let Commissioner Cook head out fairly early tomorrow and have a Wasatch Board of Directors meeting in Olympia, followed by a Legislative Steering Committee event tomorrow evening, and then most of the day of Legislative Steering Committee activity on Thursday, followed by a 2 or 3 hour seminar put on by the Ruckelshaus Center, followed by whatever time is left in that day, and a good part of Friday I'll be over on the hill with Commissioner Delvin from Benton County. We'll be meeting with various House and Senate representatives, making our pitch for state funding for a new juvenile justice facility center. And so that'll take us through the better part of Friday. Those are fairly recent additions, the juvenile justice work and the Ruckelshaus piece. So I'm probably going to run out of time to make it back for the Sheriff's Department Awards function Friday night, so I'll let you know that. And I'm also not going to be able to cover the budget meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow, which was moved from Tuesdays to Wednesdays to accommodate the shift in commissioner meetings. And unfortunately, my schedule just isn't going to let me do it on either day, so I need someone to cover that. And when the chair is not available, that duty falls to the chair pro tem. So, Commissioner Miller, are you available to do that tomorrow?
Tomorrow, what time?
Tomorrow is the monthly budget review.
Morning, what time again?
9 a.m.
I possibly may have something going on scheduled, but I think I might.
Well, we need to have somebody there, so if you can't make it,
Yeah, I'll talk to Bob.
we know.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Or Keith, probably.
Okay.
You're the ultimate legend town.
No, we're trying to, okay, we'll see, it's scheduled for this, if I can make it. Okay.
Let's see. There are a number of bills moving over on the hill. I won't go through them all, but if anybody has a particular bill they want checked on or they want an update, they can certainly let me know. I'd be happy to provide that information. Schedule's moving ahead pretty quickly. Cutoff is coming up for bills to be out of committee. It does appear that the state government is moving pretty firmly on, now that Hearst is essentially settled, on a number of firearms-related bills and on the Voting Rights Act that they've had for a number of years, and I think been waiting for an opportunity to move it through. And there are some bills of local impact having to do with public facility districts that I'll be watching as well. So that's all I've got. Keith, anything?
No.
Okay, last call.
Commissioner, the gentleman just came in.
Good morning.
All right.
Put my glasses on. So we're just wrapping up our weekly board meeting. Okay. You don't want to make any comments on the record or anything? Okay, great, all right. So if there's not any other comments or questions, last call.
See you Monday.
We're adjourned.